All right, so we're going on chapter 6 still with ratio and proportion, and today we're going to start 6.3, unit conversion. Today we're with the American system, then we'll go to the metric system, and then we'll go to comparing the metric and American system and doing conversions between them. So these are common units within the American system. And so we have four types. Basically, we're looking at, we have the length, and then we have the volume, and we have weight, and we have time in seconds. And so those are the key units. So in length, we have 1 foot, well, that's 12 inches. 1 yard is 3 feet. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. So those are three conversions we can look at. Now with volume, we can do 1 cup is 8 fluid ounces, 1 pint is 2 cups, 1 quart is 2 pints, 1 gallon is 4 quarts, and so that would be our volume. Now weight, not too many differences here. 1 pound is 16 ounces and 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. And then we have time. Well, here we have 1 minute is 60 seconds, 1 hour is 60 minutes, 1 day is 24 hours, and 1 year is 365 days, except for leap year, which would be 366. So those are our different units we're going to use. And so when you're on the test, you'll be given what you need to have, hopefully, to be able to convert different things. And so you can, if as long as you know that you can get from, feet to miles, or maybe you have inches and you have to get to miles, well, then you have to go 12 inches is a foot, and then, so many feet is in a mile, and we'll kind of see how those work here in a little bit. And so what we're doing is called dimensional analysis. Basically, we're going to use unit conversion to convert between different units. So let's start with the first one. It says convert the following to the given unit. So we're going to change 60 yards into feet. Okay. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to write a first one, what we're starting with, 60 yards, and we're going to put that over 1. And then, depending on who teaches you, sometimes, we'll go ahead and put parentheses. Sometimes it'll be a bars. It doesn't matter as long as you can keep track of where you're going and what you're doing. And so now what we need to do is we need to go from yards and we need to go into feet. Well, do we have a conversion for that? Well, yes, we do. If we look over here, we have 1 yard is 3 feet. And so what we can do is then is say 1 yard is 3 feet. Okay, so now our top is yards starting, and then we're moving to feet, and we've done that. And so what we do is we want to make sure on top and bottom we're going to cancel a unit. And so we're canceling the yards, and we're left with feet, and that's what we want. And so now all we have to do is we have to take 60 times 3, and that will give us how many feet are in 60 yards. And so we take 60 times 3, that's going to give us 180, and so that gives us 180 feet are in 60 yards. We can do the same thing here now. Now we're going to go a little bit further. We're going to go from inches to yards. So we'll have to go from inches to feet, and then we can go to feet to yards and get from that method there. So we have 244 inches. And again, we're going to put that over 1. And then we have to think about how many inches are in a foot. Well, there were 12 inches in 1 foot. Now we can go from feet to yards because we know there's 3 feet in 1 yard. And so now let's go ahead, and I'm going to change color so I can show marking off. So we went from inches, canceled inches, feet, canceled feet, and we're left with yards. Okay. So now all we have to do is multiply everything out. And so we go across the top, that says 244 yards over. Here we have 12 times 3 is 36. And so basically we just have to take 36 into 244. and we want to round to the 10th, so that means we have to go out to 2 spaces so we can round up to the 10th. So 36 into 244.00. So how many times will 36 go in here? Well, if we take 40, we'll go in here about 6 times. So if we take 36 times 6 is 36. And then 3 times 6 is 18, 19, 20, 21. So that says we have 6. That's 216. Now we subtract. That's going to give us an 8. 3 minus 1 is 2. Bring down our 0. Now it's going to go a little more this time. So let's try 36 times 7. That's going to give us 42. That's going to give us 21, plus that's going to give us 25. And so that's a 7. That's going to give us a 25, 2. Subtract. Well, that's going to give us, go down to 7. 10 minus 2 is 8. 7 minus 5 is 2. Now we bring down our last 0. And guess what? We can use the same number again. That's a 7. That's a 252. That's a 7. That's a 1. That's an 8. That's a 2. And now we've got our number of decimal places we need to round to the 10th of a yard. And we 0.8, and it's approximately 6.8 yards. Okay. And so that would be our solution to this one. So this one we had to do 2 steps to get to our point. But again, it's not hard. We just went from inches first to feet. Then we had to get rid of feet. So then we went from feet to yards. And then we went and canceled all of our units out that were gone to make sure we're left with just the yards. And we were. And so then all we had to do was multiply and divide. And again, that's what a lot of this dimensional analysis is dividing and multiplying and doing all your standard math calculations. All right. So 78 feet to yards. Okay, well, we're going to start with 78 feet over 1. And then what do we have? Well, we know there's 3 feet in 1 yard. And so basically it looks like we're pretty well done because we've gone from feet, gotten rid of feet, we're up to yards. That's where we want to be. And so now we just have to do our multiplication, or division in this case. So we'll take 3 into 78. Now it doesn't say how many decimal places, so we'll just put a couple there and see. So 3 goes in here twice, that's 6. Subtract that, that's 1. Bring down our 8. 3 times 6 is 18. So it looks like we didn't need any decimal places. So this is equal to 26 yards. Okay. And again, it's approximately because we're always going to be dealing with conversions, and so we can always just put approximately 26 yards in this case. All right. Now this one's going to be a little bit bigger. We have to go from miles to feet. Now let's go back. If we don't remember how many miles, 1 mile is 5,280 feet. Okay, so we have to remember that to get to our final destination. So 4.9 miles over 1, and we said that 1 mile was 5,280 feet. Okay. Now let's make sure we cancel everything. Miles here, cancel miles here. We're left with feet on the top, which is what we want, so that looks good. And so what do we have to do? We have to take 4.9 times 5,280. Well, so 5,280 times 4.9, multiply. 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 8 is 72. And then we have 18 plus, right, 18 and 7, so that's 15. Okay, so let's make sure we have 18 and 7, so I'm not counting wrong here. So that's going to give us 15, so that's 25. So, all right, so now we have 9 and 5 is 45, plus 2 is 47. Now we have 0, that's 32. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 21. So it's a 0, a 2, a 7, an 8, a 5, and a 2. All right. And so what does that tell us? Well, we also have to remember to put that decimal in there because we had that one decimal place for 4.9. So we put that decimal here. And let's see here. So that should give us then our final value. And so we end up with 25872. I don't know where that decimal keeps going. And then that's feet. So 4.9 miles is 25,872 feet. Okay. All right. So next one. Now we want to go inches to miles. All right. So that one's going to be a little bit more, I guess, fun if you want to call it that. And so what we have to do is we have to convert inches to feet, then feet to miles, and then we should have our value we need. So writing that out, 198,550 inches over 1. Now we know that there's 12 inches in 1 foot. Then we know there's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. And so now what does that tell us? Well, we've gotten rid of inches, we've gotten rid of feet, and we're in miles, which is what we want to go to. And so now basically we're only have to take that divided by 12, then that divided by 5,280, and we should get our value that we need to do here. So I think maybe, yeah, let's do it in 2 steps. Let's do 198,550 divided by 12. And I don't know how many decimal places we'll have to do there. So 12 goes in here once, that's 12. Subtracts 9 minus 2 is 7. Bring down our 8. 12 times, what will give us 78? 12 times 6 maybe will give us 72, I believe. And I can't get any closer, so that's going to be a 6. And that's 72. Subtract that, that's going to be 6. Now we bring down our 5, and that's going to have to be a 5. Now 12 times 5 is going to give me 60. Subtract that, that's 5. Now I'm going to bring down another 5. Now that's going to be a 4, so that has to be 48. Subtract that. And so we carry the 1, that's a 4, and so 8 and 7. Now we bring down our 0. So that's going to give us a 5 again. That's 60. Subtract that. And so that's going to be 1, 0, and then bring down another 0. And so that's going to give us 12 times 8, and that's going to be 16. That's 96. That's going to give us a 4. We forgot to write that down. We better write that in there. 8. And then bring down 0. That's going to be a 3. And that's going to give us 36. That's going to be 4, 0. So it's going to be that repeating. Now we can take that number, 16545.833, and we can keep putting another 3 there, but we're only going to have to go out to here, divided by 5,280, okay? Now, how many times is 5,280 going to go into this? Well, that's going to be close to 3 probably, because that'll give us less than 16. So 5,280 times 3, that's 0. It's 24. That's 6, 7, 8. That's 15. And we had 16, so that looks good. So 3 point. And now we have 1, 5, 8, 40, subtract. Now, if I can read on my writing, 5 minus 0 is 5. 4 minus 4 is 0. Now I have to borrow 1. And 8 and 7 is 15. Now I'll bring down my 8. That'll go in one time. 5,280. Subtract that off. 8 minus 0 is 8. Now I'm going to have to come over here, and that's a 6. That's a 9. And here we got a 7 again. Now we have 9 minus 2 is 7, and that's a 1. And then we can bring down our 3. Now that looks like it's going to be a 3 here because we had 15,000. So 15,840. Subtract that off. So 3 minus 0 is 3. 8 minus 4 is 4. Now we have to borrow 1. And so that's going to give us a 9. That's going to give us a 1. And so we want it to the nearest tenth of a mile. So 3 does not round up. And so that's going to be approximately 3.1 miles. And so that's going to be our answer. Okay. Now, the key with a lot of these is, we could have taken 12 times 5280 first and then divided it. But sometimes when you have those big numbers, it's harder to work with. So I decided to break it down and do 2 smaller ones, and that ended up working. You just have to remember to take it out far enough so you have all the decimal places you're going to need to be able to do your rounding at the end to get your tenth of a mile. Okay. All right, so here we're going to go still with feet and inches, and then it looks like we're going to switch to pounds and ounces. All right, so how many feet are in inches? Well, 80 feet over 1. And then we know there's 1 foot is 12 inches. So now we've canceled our feet. We're in inches, which is what we want. And so now all we have to do is multiply. So we're going to take 12 times 80. We'll bring 0 down. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 plus 1 is 9. So that gives us approximately 960 inches. Okay. All right. Now, a lot of these units are approximations, so we can't always say that they're equal to, but we can say they're approximately equal to. All right, so now we're going to convert pounds to ounces. Well, when we have the mixed numbers, it's best to go ahead and get those into an improper fraction. So we'll take 5 times 8 is 40 plus 1, so that's going to be 41 over 8 pounds over 1, and we want to convert to ounces. So if we don't remember how many pounds and ounces there are, we can go back to our original table, and we see 1 pound is 16 ounces. So we can write that in here and say 1 pound is 16 ounces. Now, when you're doing this, maybe you want to make it L like that so you don't think it's 11 and then multiply by 11 and get wrong numbers. Trust me, I've done that before. And so we're not going to hopefully do that today. All right, so our pounds cancel and we're left with ounces, OZ. Okay. So what we're going to do is, if we look and multiply this out, it's really just taking 41 over 8 times 16 over 1. And now it's going to be a little easier because now we can see that, well, 8 will go in here once, 8 will go in here twice. Now we just have to take 41 times 2, and that's going to give us 82. So that's going to give us about 82 ounces. Okay, and so that then would be our solution. Okay. Now again, when you're working with ounces, you don't want to think that's a 0 and say it's 820 Z's. It's 82 ounces. So you really have to be careful when we're working with all these units. All right, so now we want to go from tons to ounces. Well, so we're going to have 3.4 tons over 1. Now, if we remember, there's a conversion between tons and pounds, and 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. Now we can use our conversion from pounds to ounces we just learned. One, if we put an LB like that, is 16 ounces. Then we're going to say, okay, well, does that cancel everything we need? Well, our tons cancel the tons, the pounds cancel the pounds. We're left with ounces, so that looks good. So what do we have? Well, we're taking 3.4 times 2,000 times 16. So basically, it's a whole bunch of multiplication. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take and do 16 times 3.4. And then after that, I can take it times 2,000 very easily. All right, so 16 times 4, or 3.4. So 6 times 4 is 24. 4 and 2 is 6. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 and 1 is 4. 4. That's going to give me 14. That's going to be 5. And there's one decimal place, so 54.4. And so now I take that times 2,000. If you remember, when we multiply by things with a lot of zeros, we can just drop those zeros down if we write it like that. And then we just take 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 5 is 10. We have one decimal place we have to put in here still. And so that's approximately 108800 ounces. Okay, so that's 108,800 ounces. So quite a few ounces in 3.4 tons. All right, next one, we're moving from pints to fluid ounces. So there's a difference between fluid ounces and ounces. So be sure to be aware of that. So there are two different things. One is a measurement of weight, one's a measurement of volume. And so we have 2.9375 pints over 1. And now we want to go to fluid ounces. Well, does anybody remember the conversion? Let's see here. What would you have? So volume, ounces, pints, ounces. Oh, well, first we have to go, 1 pint is 2 cups. And then after that, we can say, okay, well, 1 cup is 8 fluid ounces. So we have 2 conversions we're going to have to go through here. So let's go back to that. So if we remember here, 1 pint is 2 cups. And then 1 cup was 8 fluid ounces, okay? And so then with this, let's make sure we have everything canceled. Pints cancel pints, cups cancels cups. We're left with fluid ounces and fluid ounces, so that looks good. And so now it's just a matter of multiplying this out. Well, 2 times 8 is 16. And so if I take 2.9375 times 16, that's what I need to do, okay? Because I've done the 2 times 8 easily in my head. Now I just have to take it times that to get all those decimals in. So 5 times 6 is 30. 7 times 6 is 42, 43, 44, 45. 6 times 3 is 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 6 times 9 is going to be 54, 55, 56. And 6 times 2 is 12, plus 5 is 17. And then we just go below. It's going to be 5, a 7, a 3, a 9, and a 2. And then we add those together, so 0 and 0. And then we have 5 and 5 is 10. 7 and 3 is 10. 6 and 4 is 10. 9 and 1 is 10 plus 7 is 17. And the 2 and 2 is 4. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like all that stuff ends up being just approximately 47 fluid ounces. So it looked like it was going to be a nasty number, but it turns out very nice, and we just have the 47 fluid ounces. Okay, so a lot of work again with multiplication, and so that's going to be a lot of this unit conversion is multiplication or division, depending on if you have something in the numerator you're multiplying or you have things in the denominator as well. All right, let's go to the next one. Gallons to pints. Well, we better go back here and see, make sure we have all our units here. So 1 gallon is 4 quarts. Then 1 quart is 2 pints. And I don't remember what we were getting to. Then 1 pint was 2 cups. So the 4 quarts and 2 pints are the key things we're going to need here. Okay. So we have 5.7 gallons over 1. And we said 1 gallon had 4 quarts. And then after that, we said 1 quart had the 2 pints. And that's where we've got to. So that's good. We've hopefully got everything. We've got gallons gone. We've got quarts gone. We're left with pints. And so basically, we just have a multiplication. 5.7 times 8 again. Okay, so 5.7 times 8. That's going to give us 56. That's going to be 45. Move the decimal 1. So that's going to be approximately 45.6 pints. Okay. All right. So that looks good. All right, so now we're moving on to measurement of time. So we're going to years and hours and minutes, seconds, all those good things. And so the first one here basically is we have to think about what we have. We have 4.7 years over 1. And so then where are we going to go? Well, to get to hours, we need to know how many days there are. So 1 year is 365 days. Well, in 1 day, how many hours are there? Well, there's 24 hours in 1 day. And so now it looks like we've gone from our years, then we went to days, and we finalized in hours. And so now it looks like we just have the big task of multiplying those 3 numbers together. So let's start up here a little further and say, well, 365 and then times, let's go ahead and do times 24 first. I don't know why, just because, and then we have the decimal at the very end. All right, so 5 times 4 is 20. And then we have 24, 25, 26. And then we have 12, 13, 14. Here we have 4. And then if we put our blank there so we can remember, 2 times 5 is 10. And then 2 times 6 is 12. 1 is 13. 2 times 3 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. That gives us 0, 6, 7, 8. And so that is the first multiplication. Now what we need to do is multiply that times 4.7. So then when we get down at the end, we have to remember to move our decimal. Well, 0 times 7 is 0. 6 times 7 is 42. Here we have 49, 53. And then we have 56 and 61. Now we have here, again, if we remember our blank, then this is going to be 0. And then 6 times 4 is 24. And then 28, 29, 30, 32, 33, 34, 35. So we have 0, 2, 7, 1, 11, 4, move the decimal 1 place. So it looks to be approximately 41,172 hours. Okay. And so that should be our final answer there. All right, so I guess I'll go ahead and circle that. All right. Now we want to convert seconds to days. So seconds are very, very small units of time. Days, that's a pretty long unit of time. So this is going to be a pretty big number here. Or it's going to be a lot of calculations because that's a big number to get to that number of values. So 4672133 seconds over 1. Now there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. And then to get to minutes, then we have to go to hours. So then we have 60 minutes in 1 hour. And then we can say, well, there's 24 hours in one day. And then at that point, we're in the days. So make sure we have this: seconds, seconds, minutes, minutes, hours, hours. We're at the days, and we want days. So that looks good. So the key thing here is, again, we're going to go to the 10th of a day. Okay, so this is going to be, again, a lot of multiplying and dividing and things like that. Well, these two multiplied together, I know, is 3,600. So then I have to take that times 24 maybe, and then I can divide it into there. Maybe we'll do it that way this time. So we'll multiply everything in the denominator first, and then do the division after that. So we'll take 24 times 3,600. So then we'll bring those down. And so then we have 4 times 6 is 24. And then that's 12, 13, 14. Now that's 3 spaces. So now we have 3 times 4 is 12. That's 6, and 1 is 7. So that's 0, 0, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so that's what's in our denominator. And so we have to then take 86400 into 4672133.00, and we have to do that because we need that second one to round to the 10th. So that's going to be our division. And so we have 86,000. We have, okay, so it looks like if we take 86,400, if we take 8 times 5, that's 40. So let's try and see what that gives us. So it's a 0, a 0, a 20, a 32, and that's a 43. Okay, so that looks like that should work. So we'll have 2 here, so that's going to be 4, 3, 2, 0, 0, 0. So that's where our 5 goes. Okay. All right. So we subtract that. And so we have 3 minus that is 3, 1 minus that's 1, 2 minus that's 2, 7 minus 2 is 5, 6 minus 3 is 3. And now we get to bring down our next 3. All right, so that looks to be smaller than this one. So 86400 times 4. So that gives us 0, 0, 16, 24, 25, 32, 33, 34. So that works, it looks like. So we'll put a 4 there. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 0. Subtract that off. And so now what do we have? So 3 minus that is going to give us that. 3 minus 0 is 3. 3 minus 0 is 3. Now we have to borrow. That's a 4. That's 11. So 6 from 11 is 5. 5 from 11 is 6. And that's 0. Now we get to bring down our first 0. 65,000. That should be a 0. That can't go in there. So now we get to bring down our second 0. 653,000. Okay, so we had a 432. Let's take 86,400 and maybe times 7, because that'll be 56. So let's see, 0, 0. That's going to be 28. That's 42, 43, 44. That's 56. That's going to be 60. Okay, so that's going to be a 7. So it's going to be 64,800. And so we subtract. Well, that's 0, that's 0. And now we borrow. That's 12. So that's going to give us a 5. That's going to give us an 8. And that's going to give us 4. That's less than that. So that is going to be what we needed to get to divide. Now that 7 rounds that up. And so this is approximately 54.1 days. And so that is our solution to this one. So again, like I said, This unit conversion is a lot of going back to can you multiply and can you divide? And that's really what it's all about. The work as far as setting it up, that's important too, but then after that it's down to can you multiply and divide. All right. So here we have 354 feet per second. So that's what we're starting with. And we want to go to miles per hour. And we're going to round to the nearest whole mile per hour. So what do we got to do? Well, we got to work on converting both units. So we have to get rid of seconds and go to hours, and we have to get rid of feet and go to miles. So I don't know, it doesn't matter which one I do first. We could do 60 seconds is 1 minute. 60 minutes is 1 hour. Now I've got my hours. So now I can convert the feet now. Well, remember 5,280 feet is 1 mile. And so let's make sure we have everything we need. So feet are gone, we have miles. Seconds are gone, minutes are gone, and we have hours. So we have miles per hour, which is what we want. And so now it's just a matter of multiplying across and then dividing in the bottom. All right, remember that times that is 3,600. And so we can take that times 354. So 354 times 3,600. And again, we just drop those two zeros down. Now we have 6 times 4 is 24. And that's 32. That's 18, 19, 20, 21. Now we have 3 spots, and so this is 3 times 4. That's going to give us a 12. That's 15, 16, 9, 10. So that's 0, a 0, a 4, a 4, a 7, a 2, and a 1. Okay, and so that was no decimal places, and so now we divide that number by 5,280. So 5,280 into 1274400, and we'll need one decimal place to get the round up to the nearest mile per hour. And so 5,280 times 2, what's that going to equal? Well, that's going to be 0, 16, that's 4, 5, that's 10. So that's going to be 10560. And we put our number above that. That was a 2. So we subtract that. 4 minus 0 is 4. Now we have to borrow here. That's a 6. So 14 minus 6 is 8. 6 minus 5 is 1. 2 minus 0 is 2. And now we get to bring down our 0. Now we have 21,000. So that looks like it might actually be a 4. So if we take and add 10,560 to that, that's a 0, that's a 12, that's an 11, and that's a 2. That's less than that, so that looks good. So it's a 4. So 2, 1, 1, 2, 0. Subtract. That's a 0. 4 minus 2 is 2. 8 minus 1 is 7. That's that. And so now we can bring down our next 0. Well, that goes in only one time. That's 5,280. Okay, so that's a 0. Now we go ahead and borrow all the way over here. 10 minus 8 is 2. 11 minus 2 is going to be a 9. 6 minus 5 is 1. Now we bring down our last 0. Put our decimal here. All right. And so it's going to be less than 4, probably around 3. So 5280 times 3, 0. 3 times 8 is 24. 2 times 3 is 6, 7, 8, and then 15. So that's a 3. That's 15,840. Let's make sure it's less than what we need. So that's a 0. So that's 8. That's 11. So 10 minus 4 is 6. 11 minus 8 is 3. And 8 minus 5 is 3. So that looks good. So that does not round up. And so this is approximately 241 miles per hour. Okay. Again, it's approximately. All right. All right, so again, a lot of multiplying and dividing and things like that, but it's not hard. It just takes a little bit of time to actually get done. All right, so here we have the amount of time it takes the Earth to rotate once around this axis is 1 day. How many seconds is that? And so what we're going to do is we're going to convert days to seconds, basically. So 1 day over 1, and now we just convert, okay? Well, 1 day is 24 hours. And then we can say, okay, 1 hour is 60 minutes. And then we can say 1 minute is 60 seconds. And we should have all our conversions done. So we've gone from days to hours, hours to minutes, and then minutes to seconds. And so that looks like we should have everything needed. And so again, that's 3,600. And then we just have to take that times 24. So 24 times 3,600. Drop our 2 zeros. 6 times 4 is 24. 12, 13, 14. Now we have 3 things we're blocking. So now we have 12. That's 6, 7. So we add that. So it's 0, 0, 4, 6, 8. So that's approximately 86,400 seconds. And so that would be the number of seconds in 1 day. So if anybody ever asks you, now you know how to calculate it, and that would be your answer. All right, so that's all I have for this section.